Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you so much. I hope my videos are helpful for you and enjoyable. And I hope you will subscribe to my channel and like and share my videos. And I just appreciate you all so much. Today I'm going to be working on a little wall quilt. This little wall quilt is 24 by 24 when it's finished. And this was a free pattern which I found on Facebook. It comes from hold on. Well, I guess I don't know where it came from. But I will put a link in the description box so that you can go find it, because I do have the link for it. It's called Winter's Grandeur. It's a really pretty little wall quilt, 24 by 24. Let me turn it around so it's right side up for you. And I wanted to do mine in darker, more folk artsy, I guess you might say, kind of colors. And so I took off to the fabric shop the other day and picked up some fabrics. So let me show you what I've got. Got some browns, blacks, some different prints, and some lights. So I've got lights, mediums, and darks here. And I picked up some fat quarters to kind of throw in if I need to. A couple more darks, a couple more lights. And so I think I'm going to probably pre-wash these. They don't feel like they have an awful lot of sizing in them. I don't know, maybe I won't. I might not pre-wash them. And then I've got some thread and a bobbin filled over here, sort of darker thread. When I'm sewing the light, I'll use a lighter thread in the top and the bobbin. This is Aurifil. I think it's 50 weight. Just a regular Aurifil thread. I've got my rotary cutter, some squares, and my pins. And my pins. And I made a little template from an old cutting mat. So I've never done this before, but my paper cutting scissors, old dull paper cutting scissors, went right through easily, and I've marked the 1/4 inch point on all 4 places on this template. And you do have to cut it reversed. It's not symmetrical. There are some places in the pattern where you'll flip it and cut it reversed. And then the rest of the pieces in the pattern are just squares and a triangle. So I think I'll get this fabric pressed up and look at my first step and get started. I don't think I will pre-wash this. So here we go. Come along and come with me, and we'll have a fun day. And I'll go slow so that if you want to make this little wall quilt with me, it'll work out just fine. A couple things I wanted to point out before we get cutting and sewing is that this pattern is actually designed for an advanced expert. It says here. But if you want to make this little wall quilt and you follow along with me really slowly, even if you're a beginner, you'll be able to do this just fine. I'll give you all my tips and tricks along the way as we go. And all you have to do is just go slow, cut accurately, and make sure that you have an accurate 1/4 inch seam allowance. And just follow the directions really carefully and you'll do just fine. So what's really neat about this pattern, even though I'm doing mine in a different colorway, this pattern gave a color photograph here of all the fabrics that they used to make this sample. So when you see down here it says from fabric A, let me zoom you in, I think I can, from fabric A, which you can kind of see this is a dark blue with some little sort of straight line stars in it. It says down here it says from fabric A, cut 4 of template 1, that's this one, template 1, and then 4 reversed of template 1. And if you want to know where this fabric goes, this is what's cool about this pattern, is you just have to go back and look at the picture and you can see that it's this center star and the binding. Now when I got my fabric, I liked this for the binding, excuse me, so I bought enough extra of this to do my binding. But I kind of like this fabric maybe for my central star. I don't have any orange in anything else, but I do have this gold, sort of metallic looking color in quite a few of the other prints. Almost all of them, in fact. Let's see, these three all have gold. This has gold. This doesn't, but it's got this tan. This doesn't, but it has a tan and kind of a mustard yellow. This doesn't, this doesn't, this doesn't, and this does. So I'm thinking I'm going to try to make my center star out of this. I'll make one up. If I don't like it, I can make another one. It's only fabric, and it's only thread. It's not like your life depends on everything being perfect and working out to where it's just an outstanding thing that's going to be an award-winning quilt. Just have fun. Don't put so much pressure on yourself and have a good time doing this. And if you don't like how the quilt turns out, just change it a little bit. Switch it up and make a pot holder out of what you've already got made. No big deal. So, okay, so I'm gonna press this, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut out my center star out of this, and we will see how it looks. So I've got this is just a fat quarter of this piece. So I've got it out, and I've got my wool pressing mat here. Don't recommend putting it on your cutting mat, but I'm going to do it today just for the sake of being able to not have to move the camera all around the table. And this is a little bit of water and quite a bit of Terrio Magic. I like my fabric to be nice and stiff, almost a paper-like feel when I'm quilting. And so I'm going to pretty liberally add this, and then I'm going to press. And I do have a little bit of steam going on, so I'm going to turn that off. I don't want any steam. Although, if you weren't going to pre-wash your fabrics, and you did want to do a little bit of shrinkage, you can mist your fabric with a little water and then hit it with your iron with steam, and it'll take some shrinkage out of your fabric. You know, it'll shrink up some doing that. So do the other part of it here. And since I'm not using steam, I'm thinking that having my wool mat on my cutting mat won't make a difference, won't hurt a thing. So get this all pressed up. And this pattern isn't terribly new, so there's probably, I'm going to go by the way the pattern says to make this little wall quilt, but there's probably some of you out there who are very good quilters, very advanced and knowledgeable. You'll see there are probably ways that are quicker and easier. But I'm going to go with the way the pattern says to do this. And that way, if you're a beginner, you'll learn you'll learn quite a bit, actually. And then the next thing you know, you'll be an award-winning quilter somewhere. So, alrighty, I've got this pressed, and so I need four number ones, and then I need 4 number ones reversed. So, and this fabric, look how cute this fabric is. You know, it's just a perfect opportunity to fussy cut something and have these flowers right in the middle of one of these, of each one of these. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and make myself a clear template from some clear template plastic and see if there's, this is pretty here too. It's got this little lower half moon curve and 2 flowers, leaves. Looks like it goes from top to bottom. So, you know, that might be kind of a cool thing to cut out. This one's much larger. I don't think that would work, but this would work, this one here. Or the flowers would work. I guess I didn't notice that till I got this out and pressed, but I think that's what I'm going to do. See how you make decisions as you go along? Pretty cool. Okay, well, I'm going to go and make myself a clear template from template A, or 1, sorry, and see what I can find on here that I think will be cute. Alright, making our template here. We'll get this lined up and then we'll put our registration marks on here for where we want to, because this is for when you're sewing your seams. Since we're going to be kind of connecting these to one another and to other pieces in this quilt, we need these little markings and registration points on these templates because we're not going to sew off the end of the patchwork. We're going to just sew to the 1/4 inch seam line mark. So there we go. I got all my marks on here. So I'll go ahead and see if I can cut this out. And I'm just going to use my paper scissors. I'm not sure if you could use your rotary cutter or not. Maybe you could. But I'm just going to use my paper cutting scissors. And then when I get this cut out, I'm going to double check it and make really sure that it's the right size. because when you trace something, you copy something, you always add just a little bit to the size. And likewise, when you cut something, you always take a little bit away. There we go. And one last little turn. There we go. Okay, now let me get this out of the way and let's check and see if we are off at all. And I am off. I need to take like 1/16 of an inch off right here, just here, and a little bit at the end of there. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to take just a tiny little sliver off here. And let's see. I know one came off. Where'd it go? There it is. Keep track of all these little puppies. Okay, well, then let's see where we're at. Let me zoom you in so you can see how close I'm getting on this. Okay. This paper, this paper pattern right here that I have, I've got it stuck down on my old cutting mat that I cut up with some double-sided tape on here, just a strip of double-sided tape down the middle. But you can see when I cut it out, I cut it outside the lines just a little bit because I wasn't sure how close I was going to get to be with the cutting out the cutting mat. And so I'm a little tiny bit over the line even on the cutting mat, but it's not very much. So I would like this one to be really super close. Ooh, look how different it is if you flip it. That lets you know that when they tell you to cut it reversed, they've got a really good reason for doing that. Okay. Okay. This looks nice. I've got just a little bit sticking out over here. Whoop. Just do it this way. And all this fine-tuning is something that you'll find you'll need to do quite often as a quilter, because accurate cutting, you're never going to have a really nice quilt if you don't cut accurately. So I'm still over a little bit. And I started to tell you, the paper pattern that I have stuck to the top of my cutting mat template, it comes, yep, it'll print off when you print off the directions to this free pattern. And so you want to be really positively, definitely sure that your printer is cutting at 100%, or printing at 100%. I believe there's a test square on the pattern. It's a 1-inch test square. And I think I threw mine away already, or I'd show it to you. But that has to measure 1 inch, or so just you'll know what your personal printer's settings are to get your printer. There we go. I'd call that, well, let's see here. Yep, I like it. I'm going to leave it. This is where I like it. So now I've got a template with the seam allowance on it that I can use. Where's my little pretty little, here we go, to fussy cut with. Ooh, I like it a lot. This looks great. I'll be able to line up. And if you ever watch Tula Pink and her English paper piecing techniques, she has the most marvelous design of finding a place. You'll find a place on, or 2 places on the fabric where you can always line up some kind of registration mark on your template, so that each exact one of your fussy cuts for this star, if you want them to be the same, will be exactly the same. And let's see, I should put on here, okay, this is reversed, so I'll put R on there. So I could do every other one a big flower, and every other one, which would be reversed, my little half moon arc thingy that I like. So let's try that. And another thing I think I'm going to do, just so that I am absolutely positive that I've got this template the right way, because I've fiddled with it a lot, is I'm going to go to my printer and print off this page that has this pattern on it again, and lay it on top of the pattern or the template on the page without it being cut out, and see how, make sure I'm totally on track with my template. Because if you don't cut it out right, it isn't ever, no matter how accurate your sewing is, it's never going to work. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to zoom you out just a little bit so you can see a little bit better. So I printed off the page that had the template on it. And here's that little 1-inch box for scale that I was telling you about. So you want to make sure, once you get that printed off, that this is exactly 1 inch. Then you know you've got your template the right size. So I've laid my clear template on there. And remember, I was kind of struggling a little bit with one side of it. And there it is. Trouble right there in River City. I don't know if that's long enough. Better use this one. Anyway, I'm gonna fix it. So make sure this is laying exactly. Part of the, if you're new to quilting, a big part actually, I was gonna say part of, but a really big part of quilting, unless you're doing, you know, like a jelly roll quilt or something like that, is accuracy. For this kind of quilt that we're doing here, it's going to be accuracy. I didn't make it. And so any kind of double or triple checking and that, I'd go for it. I've got some little sticky buds on the back of my ruler that are wanting to make my template wiggle. So I might have to just freehand this, I'm not sure. I wanted to have a nice straight line, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it with those little, I bought these little sticky things that go on the back of your rulers, and it doesn't let your fabric slide around underneath your ruler when you're cutting, and they're wonderful for that. But they're not as much fun for making plastic templates. Alright, now then, when I get this cut off of here and I get this little side trimmed, we are going to be perfect. Oh yeah, absolutely perfect. I got one little guy up here I want to take off. This little pointy place. And then we are good to go. And I noticed my ink, I'm using a micron pen to do this because I like a fine point, but the ink is coming off, so I'm going to need to mark my little holes again for my stopping and starting points for, and then I'll punch these real quick, and that way they won't get away. I probably got ink all over me. I don't see any, but it went somewhere, I'm guessing. Okay, now, before this gets away from me, I'm going to punch these little holes. So I'll be right back. I think when I'm done cutting these, or punching these little holes, I'm going to get a Sharpie marker and mark the front and the reverse side of this template. And let's see what I can find here. I've got a Sharpie. There we go. And this is Winter's Grandeur. So we'll label it. And let's see here. This is the front, so this will be reverse. Alright, so you can only read it one way, and that lets you know that you got to turn it over and cut it. I dropped my leather punch when I was coming over here, and Sue thinks there's somebody at the door, so I'll go and show her there's nobody there and be right back. Sue, shut your yap. I'm trying to do a video over here. Be still. Okay, I made another decision. I decided this fabric is not starched enough for me to feel truly comfortable. I like it to be really almost papery, and I've always done that. Before Terrio Magic was born, I used liquid starch, and I starched everything just as stiff as I could get it, because I never had any, I didn't ever have to rip anything out, and I never had any problems with bias edges stretching, which with this template we're going to have some bias edges. So we need to have our fabric starched really super duper good. Pretend that starching fabric is your superpower. So I'm putting Terrio Magic on straight out of the bottle. My water and Terrio Magic mix was nice, but not, it just didn't give me the feeling of the fabric that I knew I had to have. So we'll remedy that. I got one more little corner, and then we can, I think we'll get started cutting. You have to kind of be careful of the Terrio Magic bottle. It'll spray everywhere you don't want it. Alrighty. Now then, I am feeling a lot better about this. I like the way the fabric looks and feels. Oh golly, I've been quilting, I don't know, at least 50 years. Maybe longer, probably longer. Maybe 55. So I've kind of got set in my ways, I guess. All right, let me put this away. There we go. I don't feel any heat at all on my cutting mat, so I guess all that's okay. And I have my iron on high. So, all right, let's see now. We're gonna fussy cut these. And what did our pattern tell us? 4 and 4, right? Yeah. 4 of template 1, 4 of template 1 reversed. And we're gonna use this fabric. So let's see if we can see through it. Oh, look at that. We can. Pretty cool, huh? Oops, I just should have pressed this a little better. All right. So now we need like a friction marker. Well, let's use blue. And so we've got right side up. This is right side up. So let's do right side up. Let's do Now remember what I said about a registration mark. So we'll have to have that. And I can see that getting my flower squarely in the middle there. There's 2 little vines that come up right here. Let me pull you in. See if I can pull you in. And I will scoot over. There we go. Pull you in a little more. And so right down here there are 2 little lines. So I'm going to put a mark at those 2 little lines in case I forget which 2 little lines it was when I go to cut the next one. And then I'm going to just point my template straight up and mark it. And you know, like I said before, I'm sure there's a strip piecing way this can be done, or something else, some other technique that would work great. But I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way, in case there's new quilters that want to learn it. This is kind of old-fashioned. Fussy cutting isn't old-fashioned, but anyway. All right, so there's 1, and let's do 2. And we'll have them just the same. Just line them up with my 2 little lines right here. My 2 two little lines are right here. I just moved over a little bit on the fabric to the next flower, and then I'm going to line my two lines up, center my flowers, and point my template straight up and mark. And you can cut this with a rotary cutter and ruler when we get this all marked. Or you can cut it by hand if you've got nice sharp scissors. Because remember, these edges are going to be on the bias when we're doing it this way. If you were doing it a different way and you weren't fussy cutting, you could put it like so. And you're going to be like so, and you're going to be on the straight of the grain on two sides and just bias on two sides. But this way I'm going to have bias on all four sides. So we'll have to be really careful. So now I'm going to do, let's see, I better push you out. I keep forgetting to do that. Okay, so here's one, two, here's three. So I'm going to line my template up with these two little lines down here, center my flower, point my template straight up, and mark. I'm going to try to do this all in one video. I don't know if I can. There'll be places I'll have to speed the video up, I'm sure. But we'll get the gist of everything anyhow. Okay, so there's three. So now we need one more from this side. So let's see. I need these two little, well, we'll have to come down here, I reckon. We'll have to do it here. And that's too close, I think. Oh boy, just barely made it. Okay. Alright, so I'll mark number 4. Then we're going to do 4 of the reverse. And I'll do that little half moon. And our little center star should be pretty. That'll be really neat. You know? We can say, Tula Pink, move over. Okay, there's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. So now we have to turn over the template. Got our reverse side up so we can read it. And let's find my little half moon thingy that I liked. Where's that? I might have to turn it over so I can see it. Okay, it's here. It's right here. Okay. Looks different on the back. So it's here. Okay, it's got 2 flowers. That's why I can't see it. All right. Okay, 2 flowers. It's right here. Okay, so now I've got to find some kind of registration mark, and oh my goodness, there's a little flower right here I could put right where I need it, and one right above it that I can line up. Ha! Okay, that looks great. Let's see. This big flower it's going to be off center, but I guess it'll be all right. Let's try it and see what we can come up with. We'll piece it, and if we don't like it, we can do something different. And this can be a pot holder. All right. So you got to help me remember now how many of these I've marked, because now's when you're going to get confused. At least I will. So this is reversed. Oops, my template wiggled. I'm going to put it back right on line. There's one. And right on the same row here. Okay. Perfect. So here's two. I'm using a friction pen. This will go away with the heat of the iron, but you always want to use these on a place on the fabric that isn't going to ever show on the front. Sometimes I guess they come back when it's cold. I haven't ever had that happen to me, but I hear pretty consistently that it's happened. Okay, so I got one more after this one, and then we're ready to cut out our center star. We've got a nice accurate template. We're going to cut real accurately. Everything is going to be just fine. It's going to be really pretty. Okay, here we go. I'm probably going to cut these out off camera, save a little time, because you know how to cut things out with scissors or a rotary cutter. So just the main thing is to be really careful about your bias edges, and you'll be just fine. Okay, I'll cut this out and be back. Okay, I've got all of my templates cut out, and so now I have to determine which ones are the reverse ones because I didn't mark them. Okay, this one's reversed, so that one's reversed. That one must be. This one isn't. Is. Let's see if I can put this together decently. Let's see, I'll scoot it over so you can see it better. Okay, now then let's see where I'm at here. Here's my little circle that goes that way, and this way, and this way, and this way. Okay, how's that look? That's kind of cute. I like it. All right, I think I'll go ahead and mark. I'll mark all of through my little holes where my 1/4 inch seam allowance ends and starts. And I have a Bernina with a wonderful patchwork foot, and on my foot I've got a 1/4 inch mark too, so that'll be nice because I'll be able to double check. I'll have two things telling me I'm in the right place. So that'll be nice. So there's one, there's one, there's one, and there's one on that one. This is going to be cute. Yeah. Okay, so I'll go ahead and mark these, all of them. And then we'll look on the pattern and see what it wants us to do next. Okay, we got this far. Now we need to figure out where we're going to go next here. So let's look at our pattern. And we're going to look at fabric B, which is this light kind of blue, this light blue, and it's got some little starry print to it. And that is all these squares here and triangles and these corner pieces. And the pattern's going to tell you to cut a width of fabric a certain measurement. We'll get into that. But it's hard for you to see, I know. But this is 2 triangles sewn together down the middle. This is 2 triangles sewn together down the middle. Same here and same here. So it's going to ask us to cut some squares and then cut those squares in half diagonally so that we can come up with these triangles. And you can kind of see how they're going to have you put this block together when we get it all pieced. So let's see, we're going to call that fabric, this is fabric A. So I'm going to put all my reverse ones in a pile and all of my straight ones in a pile, go in the right direction, and set them aside. That's fabric A, and I had this much fabric left over, so I've got quite a bit left over even. So now we have to decide which fabric is going to be fabric B, because these are going to be up against it. So we need something light. I was thinking this would be the back, but who knows? It does look nice up against this, and we need some contrast. And the blue here, this blue is kind of a medium. I'd call that a dark, and this a medium, and this a light. And this would be a dark, and this would be a medium. But they're like a different value of blue, so it helps them to stand out. So let's see. Do I want to put a plaid in there? It's kind of cute. We could try it. It would be kind of cute. And then we've got this one. I like that too. Yep. And this is a light. I don't know. And here's my butterflies. I think that the squares are going to be too small to really let you know that that's a butterfly by the time it's cut apart and pieced back together. So let's see. Let's do this. Okay, it's down to these 2. I like them both. I guess we'll use this one. So I'm going to press this, and then we'll come back. You know how to press because we pressed before and you saw how to do that. So I'll press this off camera, and we'll come back and we'll cut what it says we need to cut for fabric B, which is right here. All our information's right here. So, and then we have fabric C, fabric D, and fabric E, and we're all cut out. All right, so let me go press, and then I'll be back. Okay, I got my fabric pressed. I just pressed it over a little ways because I know I'm not going to use this whole piece. So from fabric B, I need 1 5 1/4 inch strip by width of fabric. All right. So let me square up the end. And then we need 5 1/4 inches. So I've got to turn it around so my ruler goes the right way. 5 1/4. Okay. And when you're cutting kind of a long piece like this, you want to kind of walk your hands along on the ruler so your ruler doesn't slide. There we go. So there's a 5.5, and when a pattern says width of fabric, it's meaning at least 42 inches. That's the law of the universe. So I'm going to just take this off here, and because we don't want our selvages to get mixed in. And some people save their selvages, which is kind of fun. All right. Okay. We need 2 5 1/4 inch squares. So let's just use this guy, and we'll do it this way. 5 1/4. Actually, that's 5 1/4. We don't want 5 3/8. We want 5 1/4. I got to turn it around. Again. Alright. Make sure your edges, if you disturb your fabric, make sure your edges are still lined up. Okay, 5 1/4, and this is doubled, so there's both of my 5 1/4 inch squares, and it wants me to cut that in half diagonally, so I'll get another ruler that's a little bit longer, and it wants me to cut it from corner to corner. So we're going to do that. And there it is. There's our... Okay. So we've got that. Creating... Oh. We have to cut it again. So we need 8 pieces. So we'll do it this way. Now, and as we go along, we'll keep checking as we're sewing and squaring things up so that we have everything completely accurate. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, there's our 8 triangles. From the remainder of the strip, trim it to 3 3/8 inches wide. So we'll do that. 3 3/8. Okay. Make sure we get that right. That 3/8 inch is a little bit odd, kind of an odd measurement. So we'll look for that and make sure we have that right on the, correct on the ruler. Okay, there's 3 3/8. From that strip, we're going to cut 4 3 3/8 inch squares. All right. Make sure your fabric stays put. So now we're going to do 3 3/8 inch on here twice, because this is doubled and we need 4 squares according to the pattern. There's 2, and here's 4. Check this, make sure I cut these right. Yep. Okay. So there's that. Okay, now we need 1 3.5 inch. one 3.5 inch. Okay, subcut. So this is done, and now we have to bring our fabric back in and cut a 3.5 inch by width of fabric. Let me move these over. Got my right side here. Okay, so now we're going to go 3.5 inches here, right on the line, and we'll okay, that out of the way, and we'll do like we did before, and we'll take off our selvages. Got to get rid of those. Years ago, we used to save selvages, and we'd use them to turn spaghetti straps. So if any of you are as old as I am, you'll remember that. Okay, so here we have a 3.5 inch strip by width of fabric, and we're going to cut 8 3.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles. All right, so we've got 4.5, double check, 4.5 by 3.5. So this is going to be 2, 4, this will be 6 and 8. Then we're ready for our next fabric. All right. We have all this out of fabric B, so I'm going to put this all together, and I think I'll put a label on it. Sometimes, if you're old, like I am, and you're trying to talk and you don't usually, typically I'm here by myself all the time, and I don't talk. But I do when I'm making a video. Okay, so there's my B fabric, and we'll put that over here, and these are my A's. I'll remember them. All right, let's see. Now, what's our B fabric? Let's get this out of the road. BC, it's sort of a medium dark, I would say, and it's got some swirlies in it. Let's see where it's at. Oh, I see. It's these alternate in these outer stars. There's 4 outer stars that are, they're sort of like a 3/4 star in here. So it's this medium blue in here. So here's what we're going to have. We're going to have this in the middle, and then we'll have, let's see here, we'll have this here somewhere. So this is just going to give me an idea of what's up against what, so that I can choose the fabrics for these points. So I like that one quite a bit, but it's really dark. And can't really say that I've got, let's see, does my template fit on the butterfly? It does this way. Yeah, it would fit that way. Okay, that's crazy. It would look, it's a moth. It would look like it was flying around. It would look too weird. That would be too weird. Alright. This one, it's going to have to be these two. They're pretty dark, but this one can be the really dark one. This one can be the medium one. Okay, so then let's see what it does. It say to cut. Okay, so fabric C. We're going to cut a 3.5 inch by width of fabric. Cut it into 4 3.5 inch squares and 12 of template 1. So we'll do that, whatever I did with my template. Here it is. So we need some squares, and we need 12 of these from here. And from D, we need 12 of these, and no squares. So that'll make it easy. So I'll cut this, I'll press and iron in that, and then cut this, and then I'll be back. And we'll have one fabric left to cut after that. And it'll be a light, I think. And then we'll cut our binding while we're at it. So we'll just have that done. So, okay, off to press and cut, and I'll be right back. So something really, really important that I want to show you is that on fabric C and D, it's telling you to cut 12 of your template 1. This one says cut 12 of template 1 reversed. This one says 12 of template 1, so that's going to be right side up. But it's easy to think that you can lay this on here. This fabric is doubled. It's easy to think you can lay this on here and cut, and cut them 2 at a time, but you can't, because if you do it that way, one of them will be reversed, and you'll have a bunch of pieces for a different quilt. So you have to stack your fabric so that it's right side up. So we need six of these, and we need them to be reversed. So I'm going to put my REV so I can read it right side up. And I am going to cut myself 6 little segments of fabric. Let me double check. 12 little segments of fabric. So, to get 12 out of here, I might have to do it different. Or you can cut more fabric if you don't mind. But, so I think you're going to have to do it this way. Cut, then turn and cut, then turn and cut, and then turn and cut, because you won't get 12 if you don't do it that way. I was going to just cut some pieces like this and stack them up right sides up, all of them right side up, but I don't think I can get 12 out of it if I do it that way. So I will do it this way, one at a time, and then I'll be able to get 12 pieces out of this piece of fabric. Let me see. I don't know if I could. Can I? Let's see. Let's look at it this way. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. I'm only going to be able to get 6 anyway. I'll have to cut another strip of fabric 3.5 inches, which won't be a problem at all. So if I have to do that, I'm just going to cut this in half and turn it right side up. Okay, so now I'll set these right sides up, just like this. Now I can cut 2 at a time. Easy peasy. And then I'll just cut another 3.5 inch width and cut the other 6, because I know I can get 6 here. And I need 12. Okay, here we go. Alright, so I've got all the small pieces cut out, and I cut the back out. I cut the back out for my little quilt. We said it was going to be 24 by 24, so I cut that at 27 inches square. And I'm going to go dig around and find my batting and get that cut. And that way I have absolutely everything cut out that I need to finish this little quilt top. And so I'm just cutting the very last of what I need, and this is the binding. And I need, the pattern says we need 3 strips with the fabric 2.5 inches. So I'm at 2.5, and I'm going to cut this binding. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to tell you that down below this video there's a little drop down arrow, or there should be, and if you click on that, a description box will open up, and in there I'm going to have a link to where to get this fabric collection if you want it. You're always welcome to pick your own fabrics too, or maybe you have some scraps that you want to use up, and you can do that too. And I'm going to put a link to where you can go to download this pattern. It's free, and I think it's from a blog, but it is free. And I actually ran across it on Facebook, just scrolling around on Facebook looking at quilt things. And this is going to be video number 1. I was hoping I could get this all in one video, but there's no way that we can do this whole little quilt top and get this in one video. So there's my binding. There's my backing, and here are my E's, all my E fabrics, and all my C fabric, cut the way it's supposed to be, and my D fabric. Here's all of that. Here's my little center square, which is going to be the A fabric, and my B fabric. So go and follow the links and print off your pattern. Pick out your fabrics and get them cut out. Go slow. Follow the video. Go careful. Make sure that you keep your little, make sure you keep this straight, because one's reversed and one isn't. And you remember what I told you. You can't cut things that are wrong sides together. They all have to be right side up in a stack if you want to cut more than one at a time. And if you have any questions, just post them in the comments, and I promise I will answer you. And so this will be Winter's Grandeur mini quilt video 1. And so in a couple of days, watch for Winter's Grandeur mini quilt video 2, and we'll move on from here. Thank you. Have a great day. Sew something pretty. Bye.